Okay, so we did the multi-sheet drawing. Keep in mind that if you want, you can do the new. We'll pick up the one called drawing. You should probably have that in your templates. You can use the same custom size sheet, and it's going to show up in millimeters, but that corresponds to 8.5 by 11. And then if we let's stay with the project, since this one did come up with the model view. And if I create the multi-views, put those in. All right. And then at this point, if we were to save this as a separate file, then I would go through the same process. And we can have one part, one assembly per each sheet or one drawing file. The problem is that when we go to print, we're going to have to open up and print each one of these individually. I don't need to save that. And looks like I saved that. Let's just make sure. And yes, I'm going to let it update the views. Did not save it. So probably would be a good idea. So as we go through this process, if I want to print this package, then when I go into the print files, right now I'm telling it, the Adobe, I can do the current sheet, we can do all sheets, specific sheets, and I don't have to open up each one individually, and it becomes a lot easier to manage the print jobs. Alright, so a couple things that we'll do real quick is we set this view as parallel so that it wouldn't move. And in our views, going across the top for the layout, standard 3 view, model view, projected view, auxiliary view, section view. Don't really have anything that's going to help us with the section right now. Remove section. So basically we wanted to see the center portion of that beam. Detail view, kind of zooming up on an area. Broken out section, what does it look like interior. Break view, if this is really long, we could snap it into and close up the gap. The crop view, I'm just going to do away with everything else. And the alternate position view, what I want to get to. Alright, so with that selected, it's going to create a configuration within that assembly. And if I had an existing configuration already set up for it, then it would let me pick one of those and hit OK. And it should launch the assembly. And since we're in Move Components Free Drag, and let's see, is that parallel going to, yeah, I think the parallel is going to be the one that gets me. So let's go into the crank and the mates, and let's see if I can suppress. Doesn't look like it's going to give me the ability to suppress there. So that being the case, yeah, it didn't really create it. So even though it's able to move, there's my alternate position. So if I show that configuration and then suppress the parallel, that's going to allow it to move. And if I just move it to some other position, I don't really know, I don't necessarily know what I'm going to get. So within this configuration, let's go with that face and that face, and here I'll put in an angle of 15 degrees. Okay, and that should only be, I didn't stop to check, but that should only be within this configuration. So if I go back to the default, it jumps back to position. It's showing me an error because, well, I didn't tell it to only apply to that one configuration, so I need to suppress the angle just like I suppressed the parallel, and that is controlling the suppression states between the two configurations. Alright, so this gets kind of confusing. It's a way of managing our geometry, and when I switch, I can get both of those two solutions. The alt position, now if we save that, and I go back to the sheet, now I can see the alt position that it's able to rotate to some other location and what it looks like when we go through that process. Alright, so I'm going to close that up just a little bit, make a little more room for my bill of materials. Alright, so with the view selected, I can right click and come down to tables, and under the table we'll pick a bill of materials. Alright, so this is going to have bill of materials all. We only have top level parts, but if this was an assembly, subassembly, sub-subassembly, subassemblies, and then down to parts, we could do parts only or an indented list, and then additional parameters, display configurations, display all configurations, missing items and rows, item numbers, borders, layer, and text format. So when I hit OK, this is going to give me that table. And oh, this really was all. Okay, so apparently I made that one. We're going to just delete. So since I haven't populated those fields out, we're not really doing anything with weight, vendors. Quantities are kind of nice. So that gives me my bill of materials. And the bill of materials is going to relate to the balloon callouts. So again, with this item picked, the balloon callouts have gotten enough better that I don't mind doing auto balloon. We can always put in one balloon at a time, but auto balloon with the view selected, it's going to bring out the magnet lines. All right, so as a magnet line, once we accept, I'm going to be able to grab that arrowed line and they're going to move as a group. All right, so that doesn't look too bad, but let's go through the options. Right now we are doing kind of a square layout. Circular layout, would recommend with the circular that before you accept it, you do drag it in a little bit closer. We line everything to the top, line everything to the bottom, left side, and that doesn't look too bad. I might stay with that one, and not so much on the right side. So let's go with that. We are attaching the leaders. Well, let's see if I missed anything. So start as at 1, increment at 1, and then follow the assembly order. We can add those in. Attachment is to the edges or faces. And then we're setting up for circles. We can go with triangles, hexagons. Typically circles is going to be about as good as anything. The standard leader style, frame style, and we're not doing anything with layers just yet, so we'll go ahead and accept. Now when I highlight, I'm going to be able to see that magnet line, and it's going to give me my symbol. So we can pull that out just a little bit, and I can shrink it down, drag it to a little better position. Let's see, 2 and 3 are kind of, well, if I was going to stay with 3, then I would probably just grab that handle at the end and move it up. That looks a little better. Alright, so it doesn't look terrible. I can fine tune it and add a little bit more. See if we right click, which one was the right click? Edit text, reattach blocks, adding to the stack. I was thinking there was one with the spacing. So anyway, that gets our balloon callouts that relate to the bill of materials. All right, so coming over to the sheet 2, scale doesn't look too bad. We're going to see what 1-to-1 looks like. So I think I'm going to stay with the 1-to-1. And let's use the custom scale so that I can reduce the isometric view. And we could always put a note, half scale or whatever we're working with. And we just go through a cleanup. We like those pretty well. And that looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. And just to kind of cycle through. So to me, this is an iterative process. I don't ever try to go through the entire drawing on the first pass. This is going to take multiple passes. It's going to take multiple looks, having another set of eyes, seeing what's missed. And next we will start doing the dimensions.